Hi, it's Monday, it's 3 o'clock. Welcome to Together Unlocked, brought to you as always by Together 2012. We're a disabled led arts organisation based in the main Paralympic host borough of Newham. I'm Ju Gosling, Artistic Director and also an artist known as Ju90. With me in my East London studio, where she's been shielding since March, is the artist and campaigner and our chair, Julie Newman. But before we come back here for some more introductions and audio description, let's go to the other end of our virtual wheeled sofa in the West Midlands for some introductions and audio description from the guys.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome to Monday and looking outside, welcome to winter. So here I am, Robin Surgener. I am business director of Together 2012 and one of the multiple co-hosts of Together Unlocked TV. As Ju said, I am up here at the other end of our very long sofa in Sutton Coldfield. Just to let you know what I look like, I have silvery, whitey, grey hair. I have no rimmed black armed glasses. I'm freshly shaven, not wearing any jewelry apart from a wedding ring, which you'll see occasionally. Um, I have blue eyes, and today I am wearing a black round neck t shirt with a list of musical acts on the left hand breast that are too small for even me to read most of the time, but it was a commemorative t shirt from a punk and ska festival.
Hi, I'm Josh Surgener. I'm also one of the hosts of Together Unlocked, and I am a PhD student. So, for my audio description, I have long blonde hair that's kind of all flicked over to one side, black framed glasses, and I'm wearing a dark blue long sleeved um, sweatshirt, but I currently have the sleeves rolled up to my elbows.
So at least it's a bit warmer in the studio than it is outside then. I always used to think that I was imagining it, that London was so much warmer, but since we've been doing this show, you're often so much colder than we are that I know it's true. We've just living in a pollution driven microclimate, which actually is quite good for my health apart from air pollution. So I have short, headed red hair in a self styled corona crop. I've got black plastic glasses, black wrist frames, silver coloured jewellery, and I have a white t shirt that's a commemorative t shirt to Amelia Earhart, who was the first woman pilot to fly the Atlantic and disappeared on her attempt flying around the world. So, in honour of Amelia Earhart, I also have star earrings on and wings in terms of a pendant. And no reason at all, really. It's just a t shirt that I haven't worn before. We were talking on Friday when we have our dressing up event that my idea of dressing up is to pull out a new t shirt. So, yes, my idea of doing something different is to pull out a t shirt that I haven't worn for some time. We had got a tabby cat with us. She's just disappeared again, but she does love appearing on this show. If you want to find out anything about the animals that randomly wander in and out at will, you can go to our sub menu on the website. Underneath the main Together Unlocked TV page, you'll find a pull down menu starting with highlights and links. And that's going to have links to everything we discuss on today's show and any videos we play. Underneath that, you will find Together Animal Hosts, and you can find out about the cats in East London and the dogs, the cats in the West Midlands, and the cat in Hastings. For some reason, people seem to find them more interesting than us, but you're very interesting, aren't you, Judy? Who are you? What do you look like?
Well, I am, but I think you should confess all. You put that t shirt on because we were watching Night at the Museum too, weren't we?
Well, that certainly would have popped it into my head. I'd already got it out, it has to be said, but yes, I did watch Night of the Museum too. But give us some audio description, and then we'll see who followed up our recommendations from Friday for something for the weekend.
Okay, doke. I'm Julie. I'm Julie Newman. I'm the chair of Together 2012. I have gold and silver hair, medium length swept back currently. I have dark rimmed glasses. I'm wearing a lovely brown t shirt, and it's got on it a picture of an eagle flying through mountains. So both of us actually have got flying themes today. So Canning Town is flying.
Yes, we would love to be taking flight from Canning Town, but in fact, we haven't been out of the house since March. So, yes, there's probably some kind of subconscious, desperate attempt to escape from lockdown too. But fear not, because we have lots on offer instead. We're in the second week of our fantastic Disability History Month festival, so we're going to be telling you lots more about that in a minute. But first of all, how did you get on at the weekend? Did you manage to do any of the things that we recommended to other people?
Oh, I did carry on watching some of the Philip Pullman, his Dark Materials. Not quite as much as I'd wanted. I got waylaid. Um, and not to steal other people's thunder, I did some of the activities that other people recommended, so I'll leave that to them. But yes, my weekend was not quite as planned, but I'm here, so there we go.
Yes, I understand you had a 111 experience where they've now gone from one extreme to the other, where you didn't used to be told to go to hospital however ill you were, and then you were scooped up and rushed off after an inquiry.
Yes, yes, it was I mean, almost embarrassing. I phoned up because I'd got a bit of a pain issue, and I wanted some clarification really, and was quite happy if I needed to take myself to A&E. They said, "Oh, we'll send somebody out to check you." And the next, like me thinking like the normal kind of 111 thing, you get a phone call, 2.5 hours later saying they'll be with you in an hour, and 10 minutes later there's kind of blue light display going on outside the front door. I was like, it's so embarrassing because I really didn't need the blue light. But I
I
guess,
think it's really reassuring for all of the viewers who indeed have been told point blank to our faces in some cases earlier in the year that no ambulance would come, that 111 now has a system where if pain and chest are ticked, you can get an ambulance. So think of it taking one for the team. You did a good old test
in,
drips.
I mean, I think that's the ambulance guys had to fill a quota as well, because he said, actually, we're taking you in. He said, you're the first one we've actually taken in today as well. So
The NHS is in a strange place, but Josh tried out the 2 week self isolation for us. Now you've tried out the 111 service. So, Julie, what did you enjoy doing at the weekend?
Well, I'm just wondering whether, Josh, you filmed it as part
I
of your,
did. Yeah.
as part of your newfound film enthusiasm.
I don't think I had time to get the camera out. It was
So
they arrived
speedy.
rather rapidly. Which I suppose it's nice that
Yeah.
you need them. They would have been here, but
Well, next time.
um,
You hope there isn't a next time.
No, but it's reassuring, isn't it, as you said?
Yeah. So, what did you do at the weekend, Julie?
I watched some television. I watched I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of the Castle. I watched Strictly Come Dancing, which I loved, actually. I feel like Craig now. Actually, it's rather lovely. But yeah, I liked it a lot. We watched a couple of films, which is great. And there was something which I've forgotten, which what did I do, Ju?
I don't know. I was working
Oh,
in
I
other
know.
rooms.
I was getting ready. I was actually getting ready for today, so I ordered some plasticine and some modeling clay from Amazon. So in my head, I was already trying to anticipate today.
Well, that's great. One more minute, and I can seek swiftly into a link for Appdate, and you can tell us the links between
Sure.
computer apps and plasticine. Did anybody else have anything to add, Josh, from the weekend?
well, all of the kind of sport things that I recommended, I managed to mainly watch in the background between reading quite literally tens of thousands of words of PhD work. I kind of had it on in the background. I did actually get to kind of steal an hour away to properly watch. I think Formula One on ice is probably the best description. It wasn't actually on ice, but it was a new track and lots of rain. So yeah, they spent a lot of time sideways rather than forwards but it meant for quite an interesting race, I guess.
Well,
Where
of course,
yeah,
the really big thing locally was Diwali, and we sort of enjoyed that with the noise.
and you saw lots of fireworks out of the window as well.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
actually,
So I've got a picture here from Pritesh Patel, who's one of our regular artists, and this was the rangoli he made on Saturday for Diwali. So just a bit of audio description. It's a photograph from above. You can see the traditional candle, which is an orange colour burning in the middle. And then Pritesh has made it into a flower. So he's used alternatively pink and orange powders and then used a turquoise powder in the middle of each petal and in the middle of the flower. So that's beautiful, Pritesh. Thank you very much for sharing that. And at this point, Julie, we have our regular weekly feature update, which was started when we took part in the NHS COVID-19 app pilot, but covers all things app related and particularly arts apps. So what are you going to talk to us about today, Julie?
Well, it's something I've been talking to Hazel Brill about, who's our youth worker, a very talented youth worker, I have to say. And that's an animation app called Animate. And also there's another one called just get it up here on my little screeny cheaty thing. Stop motion. Which I think is actually slightly better for my own needs. Both of which are free. Animate has, you've got to buy things in app, which I'm never that keen on. What's prompted all this from me is that I was thinking about animation. I've never done any animation. I've been thinking about it for a couple of years. I think it's maybe time to get on and do something. But I was always very interested from Who Framed Roger Rabbit back in 1988, which was really, I think, the first film to blend sort of cartoon characters, animations, and real life.
The Bedknobs and Broomsticks
Yeah.
or Mary Poppins would have done that, wouldn't they?
They came after, I
Did
think.
they?
Yeah. Well, maybe not actually. No, 88 is quite late. But yes, you're probably right. Thinking about all of that, but
But I think it was a lot cruder, I think, and it was more that they moved into animation sequences and out again.
yes, that's
I
right.
think with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, it was the interaction between
Yeah.
the cartoon characters and the so like Bedknobs and Broomsticks had flashy things like bits of the bed flashing and things, but there was no one interacting. Whereas in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, they're kind of passing drinks to each other, and I think that was the kind of big groundbreaking thing. It was that kind of physical interaction.
I think that was Bob Hoskins, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they started someone small to make sure it worked.
Thank you for that. But I've also I love Aardman's stuff, and I love all the little Shaun the Sheeps and the creatures, and I used to like Morph. I don't know if anybody remembers Morph on the television.
I do, and he was a character made of plasticine that would sort of roll up into a ball and roll out again, wasn't he? I started my very first stop animation back in January, when my plan for the year looked entirely different, and also involved me making a series of films of my poems. And I started with a poem called Brexit Made My Biscuits Shrink, which is a poem about how as soon as we had the Brexit vote, the food packaging started shrinking and the number of biscuits in the packet started shrinking. But I did it without using animation software because I didn't know how to do it. So I was literally kind of shooting a still on the video camera and then moving the biscuits. And in a way, it was quite an easy one to do because what happens is the biscuits kind of come off the plate. So you just need to keep pick one up, take a picture, pick one up, take a picture. And I'd love to know how to use the proper stop animation.
Well, yeah, me too. That's why I thought the only way really to learn is to get on with it. It was Peter Lord, I think, who did the morph, and he's at Aardman's. And if you go onto YouTube, you can see that they're currently doing current morph little short films, which are quite interesting. Morph was a plasticine creature who got up to all sorts, usually in trouble, and some as these things usually are. But I thought, well, if I tried the stop animation, the application, the free one, how that works is quite interesting. It's an iPad app, and you set it up, and you take a picture of the whatever it is that you're going to animate, and then it will take another picture when you've moved it and are ready for the next part of the scene, and it creates the film, which I think is excellent for a free app. I think it's brilliant.
So is it generating the screens in between? I mean, I'm vaguely remembering now. I ought to know my own work better, but in 2011, I produced an animated film called Canning Town Trio, and it's actually animating the motion pathways of English folk dances. It turned into an entire wheelchair dance project, and are now our associate company, Folk in Motion. But what I remember is that if you within the animation software, which I found very difficult and had no desire to use again, if you moved the positions and took, then it would generate the frames in between. So if you said the ball is going to move from kind of the left to the right, you would put it on the left and the right, and then it would generate the frames in between for the movement. Is that what this does?
Yeah.
And presumably there's very similar ones for non-Mac users.
I honestly don't know.
But we will find out.
Yeah, of course we will. But I think, what I wanted to do and what I'm hoping to do with this is to film me trying it out, so that hopefully we'll have something that we can show on the Together Unlocked show. It doesn't matter if I get it wrong or, don't really understand it, because we're all going to be in the same boat. But I thought it would be interesting to try it out. It'll be interesting to try it out from scratch. And it could be interesting to document the process, because I'm always banging on about documentation. And I think, this could be quite an interesting thing to document.
I think we talk a lot about easy film techniques, because Monday is one of the days when we focus on photography and filmmaking, and that I'm about to do something. I'm going to do a screen recording of me doing it, or I'm going to record myself doing it. Results in so many films on YouTube, but I did come across quite a funny one. I didn't realize that people did it automatically, as opposed to I'm going to open this, I'm going to set it up. It is just very much people going, oh, I'm doing something, so I'll film myself. Because I got a new TV and I just could not work out how to fix it. And I finally found this video where this guy's going, oh, and I've got a new such and such, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And he got to the same point as me, and then he couldn't make it work. And then he went into his storage unit and came back with other things that he drilled out. And then he said, oh, it's 45-degree heat. I'm not going to go down the road and get a proper one of these. So then he got a tool out. And I thought, this is the point where you should have just not made this film. Because all that's happened is I've sat and watched, and you've had exactly the same problem as me, but I don't have a storage unit full of parts, and I don't have the extra tools. And what happened instead is, I moved something, propped it up with a biscuit tin and some white tack, and put the thing that I was going to hang it on into storage instead. But yeah, I think if you want to make some films, and like just a quick, easy ones, that's the way to do it, isn't it? You're doing something new, or you're doing something you're used to doing. Just film yourself doing it. There's always going to be an audience for it on YouTube.
Yeah, so all I was going to interject was just to say that like that film you're talking about, sometimes these films can be so annoying, because I used to watch Nigella Lawson, and she'd kind of go, well, I'm just going to knit to the larder. I'm sure everybody's got one of whatever it would be. And then she'd have this kind of, 2 meter by 2 meter walk-in larder with every spice that's ever been discovered racked in alphabetical order on the wall, and you'd be going, well, we've got salt and pepper.
Yeah, I see this. I'm fooled occasionally where it goes, "Oh, easy vegan such and such," and then I look at the list of ingredients and thinking
Yeah.
nothing with 15 ingredients can ever be described as easy. I think for anybody who's and I think this is a big issue actually in lockdown. Anybody who's not used to preparing their own hot meals but is being forced to, because although their care package says their hot food should come at their day centre, that's been closed, or their care package says they should go to the community cafe and that's been closed. The best person to read both in book form and online is somebody called Jack Monroe. Jack has often lived with food poverty. They really understand that what you have is 2 or 3 tins, limited power, limited number of stuff. Yeah, Jack Monroe has just got the most fantastic, not just recipes but guidance, and I think the reason they've become such a big star over the last 5 or 10 years is absolutely for those reasons, that the sort of Nigella thing just doesn't work for ordinary people on ordinary incomes. Well, that's our update for today. So we will be looking forward to regular reports. The film festival, and we'll say a bit more about that later if we've got time, but our annual International Together Disability Film Festival is coming up on the 3rd to the 6th of December. On the daytime, on the 3rd and the 4th, which is a Thursday and Friday, we have activities for filmmakers. But in the evenings and through the weekend, we will be streaming events for everybody. We've had the strongest animation program that I think we've ever seen. So that's something again that I would really recommend to watch if you want to have a look at different techniques that people are using from all over the world. But before then, tomorrow night we have what we would describe as a public view rather than a private view of Ali Z's exhibition, The Starving Artist. I'm going to be leading a discussion with Ali. But first, Hazel Brill, who's an international artist in her own right and also part time our youth lead, has interviewed Ali. So I'm hoping very much that this video is going to play.
Hi, Ali. Lovely to meet you. And thank you so much for doing this interview for Together 2012. Maybe I'll introduce myself quickly. I'm Hazel. I'm a visual artist and I work for Together 2012 as a youth development worker. Could you introduce yourself briefly and tell us a bit about your practice and what mediums you use?
Yeah, for sure. It's lovely to meet you, Hazel, and hello everybody at Together 2012. My name is Ali, and I'm originally from Canada, Toronto, and I am a contemporary artist. I focus primarily on acrylic painting with a documentary aspect to it, and I did my bachelor's at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, and I did my master's in curatorial studies and contemporary art at the Glasgow School of Art. And currently I'm doing my PhD with the University of Southern Queensland in Australia. It's all over the globe.
Wow. So are you doing your PhD over Zoom and kind of?
Yeah. So right now I'm doing research abroad. So it's very exciting just to have an international aspect to my research.
Amazing. If it wasn't for lockdown and COVID, would you ideally be traveling around and actually being in different places? Or?
A little bit more, yeah. Last month I was in Amsterdam and I was doing an artist residency there with Art House Holland, and I did the first installation of my PhD. So I would be doing more of it if it wasn't for lockdown, but right now I'm still trying to make progress.
Yeah. It's quite nice, I think, having like a project to work on at the moment and something to focus on, distraction from from everything. When I was a young student just starting out, I was always wondered how people got where they did. So I wondered whether you could talk a little bit about where your art career started, and how it's developed and how you've got where you have now.
Yeah, for sure. I guess like my predisposition for art started back in high school when I went to a private school and you had to take a art elective, and we didn't have drama or like dance or anything like that. So I just chose visual art, and from there I found that like my teacher at the time, he really inspired me, and I really found that I could express my voice through art, and so I ended up doing my undergrad in it, and from there I just built and built and built, and now it's just my whole life.
Amazing. And now doing a PhD, which is so impressive. It's interesting hearing about other curriculums from Canada compared to how it is in the UK. So you're also a curator, is that correct, as well as an artist at the moment?
Yeah.
Is that quite a recent development in your practice, or has that always been something that you've been doing?
I think for me, my objective was to be a curator first and foremost, but then I gained experience through being an artist. And so then I realized that they're not necessarily separate. Back in maybe 2015, I started curating, and I was doing student exhibitions, and then I started working for art galleries in the contemporary arts. So I was curating the archives and their collections, and I found that I really loved it, but then I didn't want to give up my artist aspect of it. So I realized that they can go hand in hand, because as an artist, you know the needs of the artist, and as a curator, you know how to express that. So then by putting both of them together, you're able to give like a whole experience on a subject matter that you research deeply.
Yeah, that totally makes sense, actually. And I guess curating is quite a collaborative process, and you meet a lot of different people, and that must be a really interesting kind of aspect to your work too, I suppose.
Yeah.
How do you, maybe this will lead me on to your kind of quite large project, which was your book called The Starving Artist: Understanding Body Image and Eating Disorders Within Contemporary Art. This looked like a huge kind of project to embark on, and so interesting. I'm so fascinated in it. And you worked with loads of different artists. Was it 50 for this book?
It was 25 artists and researchers, but
yeah,
it's been growing ever since then. So
really, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. I just wondered how that came about. Sorry.
Yeah. No, go for it. I think for me, it started with my own personal experience struggling with these issues, and that as an artist, I sought after art to try and like find and understand it more. But with a lack of it in the contemporary conversation, I felt like it would be a perfect project for me to discuss and like start. And I originally was just planning to see if I can get like maybe 3 or 4 artists and people to get involved with it. But then there was such an international like outreach of people being like, yes, I want to get involved. Like, how can I get involved and stuff like that? And I realized that there's a lot more people and a lot of different demographics that were underrepresented. And so I found that I was struggling through emails and emails like constantly with different time zones and people with different schedules, but it came together really nicely. So you have voices from Spain all the way to like the UK here, from Canada to Poland, and it's really nice to have like such a diversity being represented through the work. And I guess a little bit more about it is that it ended up becoming an exhibition, and it was a publication, and it's a non-for-profit publication, so all the sales proceeds went to a charity I started called The Starving Artist, and it starts a scholarship fund for people seeking inpatient treatment for eating disorders, because often the public sector is really slow in processing it and private costs so much. So helping people access these resources is really important to me. And as an artist and curator, I think you should be able to have a direct impact with your work, not only visually, but like through the community. So activism is very, very important to what I do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll ask the next question in a minute, but it seems like it kind of snowballed and evolved in quite an organic way, which is really interesting, because I was wondering how you contacted these different people, but it seemed like in some ways they reached out to you. which I think maybe shows there's a kind of gap for this kind of work. And I think it's really important to be able to communicate these issues and personal issues through different mediums and different ways, because we hear a lot of articles, or, you know, there's lots of articles written or statistics or things which sometimes may be a bit cold or numbers, but then I think having these like personal experiences, it's really like helpful for other people to also like experience and understand. So yeah, the next question was, has your work always had a kind of activist element, and yeah, is that something you want to also continue with in the future?
Yeah, I think when I was younger, I didn't realize that art could have an activism impact to it. But as I became a curator, I realized that art can communicate so much more than just a visual painting. And I found that through doing events and through doing artist talks, that people really wanted something that can help bridge the gap. And especially for the general public who not necessarily grasp art to its full potential sometimes and just want to appreciate it, they found that engaging with it in a social aspect helped them understand it a little bit more. So I've found that, like, yeah, I would love to continue having activism as like a key element in it. I think that for me, it's really important because it adds more passion and it makes me want to push the art further and get it out there even more, because it has such a strong impact and a strong like personal like purpose to making it.
Yeah, definitely. I would totally agree. All for it. So yeah, so you've spoken a little bit about your PhD, but I wondered, yeah, if there was anything concrete you wanted to talk about that you had coming up, or I guess COVID, lockdown and everything probably has affected a lot of projects.
Yeah, oh gosh. I mean, I've been involved in a lot of things recently, and I think COVID has helped and hindered in so many different ways, because there's lots of digital and online exhibitions that are going on right now. But I think in terms of my PhD and all of that, I'm still continuing research on eating disorders and body image, but it's through an autoethnographic lens, which means exploring eating disorders through my own personal story and struggles. And I've been creating works on that and hopefully starting a second publication on it. And that is to be continued. So I guess stay tuned for updates on that.
Exciting. It sounds great. Yeah, I guess one of the things being brought online is you can have a massive global audience, which it's nice thinking about some positives about adapting to this way of working and communicating, expressing yourself, showing work. That's personally what I've enjoyed as well during lockdown. So yeah, I guess we're probably running out of time a little bit, but I wondered whether you could briefly describe the event that you're doing for Together 2020 Disability History Month Festival on, let me get the date right, Tuesday the 17th of November.
Yeah, for sure. So this is a project that I've been so excited to work on with you guys, and it's essentially a digital exhibition showing the artworks that I was working on about my own personal struggle with eating disorders. And I think that it will have a public viewing and then also an artist interview and talk online. So then if you guys want to engage and ask your own questions, you're absolutely allowed to. And it'll be a great platform for people to open conversations and discuss their own personal experiences, as well as, I think, for artist side of things, you'll get to see how art can be portrayed in 2020 with COVID and online, and starting some discussions around that. So hopefully you guys are excited, because I certainly am.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. Thank you so much for talking a bit about your work and your background and everything. It's really generous. Keep going. It's very exciting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to what you do next. It's great.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm really, really excited to get to be involved in this. So thank you guys for having me.
Well, we're just joining you momentarily.
Well, you could have jumped in instead. All I'm just saying is tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, public view of The Starving Artist. So, as with all of our live events, you can watch them in two different ways. You can just go to our website, www.together2012.co.uk, click on the page for the festival, which is almost the first page you'll come to. And at the top of that page at 7 o'clock, it will simply stream. You can also go direct to YouTube, Together 2012 CIC. Although there's not really much point because it's still the YouTube stream that's embedded in the website. If you would like to join in a little bit more actively, you can book a ticket to join in by Zoom. And then, as Ali points out, you'll be able to ask questions. What we're going to be talking about partly is Ali's exhibition. It's very hard hitting, very powerful, and also very beautiful. One of the reasons I'm so excited about it is because all of the images we see of people with eating disorders are produced by people without eating disorders. And what we're seeing with Ali's work is perhaps some of the same images you might see in documentaries and reports and medical journals, but completely from the view of the person concerned, in this case, the artist. But we're also going to be talking about this stereotype of the starving artist and how much that makes it acceptable for artists to be left in food poverty, literally starving, and the relationships between those and eating disorders. So we'll be talking much more about that tomorrow night. The recording, if you can't make it, will be up on the website. So, for example, you can go to the website already and see the show from last week. We'll tell you a little bit more about that. But first, this is how you can join in from home. We've got a comprehensive program. This is going to tell you a little bit about it. There's full details on the website, and indeed there is a full video on the website telling you everything that's on offer. So here is the video coming up. Together 2012 is running a Join In From Home programme from our website, together2012.org.uk. Click on the link at the top of the page, Join In From Home, to go straight to the main page where you have a wide range of accessible, inclusive creative activities, mostly using things that you would already have at home. At the top of the page and throughout the pages, you will also see videos in British Sign Language to translate the site for deaf people. These videos can also be useful if you have difficulties reading and you simply want to hear more of the content. The Join In From Home programme is based on the activities that we would usually be running in East London. Dance Club usually meets on the fourth Monday of each month, and they create improvised masked dance for the screen. Here you can also see their very first film, where they simply made masks from paper plates, covered themselves with fabric, and just moved gently to the music. You can hear as well, there's a digitized soundtrack. So we're suggesting that you make a mask out of anything you can think of. It could be a cardboard box, a paper bag, a paper plate, as in here. Video yourself dancing in it and then share the video with us. We will show it on screen and we will also enter it into the dance programme of our film festival, which we run every December. If you're temporarily or permanently chair-based, there's also a warm-up you can do here created by our associate wheelchair dance company Folk in Motion, and that focuses on relaxing your upper body and improving your breathing. The Photographers and Filmmakers Club usually meets on the second Monday of each month. We're inviting you to make a video at home with the theme of home and share it with us. You can use a phone or a camera, make any kind of film you wish, including drama, documentary, dance, animation, artist films, comedy, and they'll be eligible for a CAT award at our December Film Festival. You can also watch with us from home. In addition to Together 2012 TV with Together Unlocked and other live streams, we have the Together Disability Film Festival highlights. Each year we run the International Together Disability Film Festival in Stratford, bringing together a wide range of films by disabled filmmakers, as well as films about disability issues and disabled people. We always publish the programmes online with links to the films that are freely available. So we invite you to revisit our recent film festivals from the comfort of your own home, and also to send us reviews of those films. And finally, you can sit back, relax, and enjoy videos of past live performances, artist talks, and creative workshops that we've produced in the past here. So, for example, from past festivals, we have documentation and films of creative dance workshops, street art performances, dances that the dance club have created, dance performances, and of course, we're continuing to add new activities on a regular basis. There's something a little bit poignant, isn't there, about seeing the pictures of previous festivals? But we have got a wonderful digital festival for you. And of course, the advantage is you can get to it wherever you are in the world. And you don't even have to leave your own home. So there are definite pluses. It was also nice, I think, to see the photo of Chris Burrow, the sign language interpreter, who's our interpreter this time. So we have an awful lot of the same team. We have very similar events. They just happen to be digital. Robin, did you have something you wanted to add about that? You looked like you wanted to say something.
It was actually just that what a great interpreter Chris is. I mean, obviously, as a performing artist, I've done a huge amount of performances up and down the country with different signers, and Chris is just really very good at getting across what you want to say, and it's the interpreting part of it being really really important. It's not just changing it from one form of a language to another form of language, but actually taking the story of what you're trying to say across, and she does that really well.
Yeah, we're lucky, and I must stress throughout the festival we have really excellent access support. We have the wonderful Julia and her colleagues from Global Real Time Captioning who caption this show. I would say captioning every element, everything they can hear will be captioned. It's not always possible to hear every word of every performance, but I'm not entirely sure that the performers, even necessarily if they have words playing in the background, intend that to happen. But yes, the access provision really is terrific. We're struggling, I think, a little bit with the limitations of Zoom, but nonetheless, I think as far as I could tell, we had interpretation for the vast majority of the evening on Thursday. So if you want tickets for tomorrow night, go to the website www.together2012.org.uk. Just scroll down to tomorrow night's event and click on the booking link. That will take you straight through to Eventbrite, and then you will be emailed a ticket to the address that you register there, and your ticket will come pretty much straight away. It kind of depends, not if you're ordering it at midnight, but if you order it in office hours, your ticket will come straight away. It will just be a basic Zoom link. There will be a link on the guest ticket to tell you where you can download Zoom if you've never done it before. It's also worth updating it because to be able to see the interpreter, you do need to have an up-to-date version of Zoom. But of course, like I say, you can just watch on the website. But I'm very much looking forward to Ali's show because she's got some fantastic work. I think the ideas that she's discussing should have been discussed in the art world years ago and never have been. But she's also using a really interesting virtual gallery space. And so we'll be asking her as well how she programmed it. I shouldn't be at all surprised. And of course, coming up later in the week, we have a wonderful live art night on Thursday, which we'll be telling you much more about on Wednesday's show. And this Saturday, Hazel, who we've just seen interviewing Ali, is leading a workshop on making finger puppets and scruffy puppets from nothing more than paper.
I was going to add on the Zoom and the fact that we're using an element of Zoom called webinar, then there's a couple of things that viewers might be interested in. One being that actually, if you do want the interpreter, you do need to use the webinar to see the sign language interpreter in the live show. But I think one of the issues that we've talked about is that often people don't participate in online activities because they're worried about being seen. And the webinar events, you as a participant, the only people that are on screen in a webinar event are the formal panelists and of course the interpreter. So if you are just joining as an audience member, be absolutely rest assured that no one is going to see what you look like, what you're wearing, whether you've done your hair like Julie or not. It's
Yeah, you can't switch your microphone on by mistake. None of
Yeah, and
that.
even as kind of panelists and hosts, we can't see you. We can see whatever name you put yourself in as, but we can't see you. So if you do want to wear your pajamas, then feel free to do that. Rest assured that no one will be able to see you.
Can I just remind everybody, I think our regular participants can access it via our engagement support worker. Is that right?
Yes, if you're a member of our clubs team, you'll automatically be sent a ticket. So you will have the option of joining in on Zoom or watching it on YouTube as you wish. But yes, anybody who's a regular at our clubs program will get a ticket. And that is a nice time for me to say our clubs program is really our outreach program. We run it all year round. It's free for any disabled person who can get to it. We usually operate a different creative club on weekday mornings. Now we're sort of doing it on Zoom in the sense that we have shorter clubs because we find that an hour of Zoom is really long enough. So coming up next Monday, a week today, we have our monthly Together Dance Club. Kind of very aptly, this is a masked dance film club, and we make masked dance for film. So actually, wearing masks and dancing on Zoom is not as much of a stretch as it could be. All of our Zoom clubs run from 11 to 12. So we also have a Make and Natter session on a Tuesday from 11 to 12 with the Art Club led by Alison Marchant. And we have a still life session from 11 to 12 on a Friday. We also put the photograph of the still life up onto the highlights and links page so you can join in from home. And then on Wednesday, the Pop-Up Poetry Club meets by telephone. And indeed, we'll tell you more about that on Wednesday. But do have a look under the 2020 programme on our website. There's lots more details. So we have the big Join In From Home programme, which is all web-based. And then we have the clubs program, which restarted in the autumn, which is Zoom and phone based. So also on the second Monday of each month, we have Photographers and Filmmakers Club by Zoom. And of course, coming up, we've got, as I said previously, the annual film festival.
Indeed. Can I just go back to tomorrow night's event? You're going to be talking to Ali, aren't you?
Yes, I'm chairing the event, partly because I'm artistic director, and partly because I live with an eating disorder, and also I have some very strong views, having literally been a starving artist, on food poverty and artists having an income that they can actually live on, or indeed any income at all. But you'll have to come along and listen to that. So yes, we won't be discussing eating disorders as such, and I think that's important as well because it's a very difficult subject, and I want to reassure anybody who's also living with an eating disorder, we have a safer spaces policy, and that extends to everything we do, not just one thing or the other. We will be talking about general issues. Now, Ali's pictures, like I say, are hard hitting, but there's something very powerful at the same time, I think, because she does have that ownership. You know, they're not exploitative pictures. They're not pictures that are othering her. They're very much putting the human being back into those images. But yes, we're going to be talking about her work, her techniques, and her issues. But we won't be straying into the kind of territory that I think is inappropriate.
No, and I think it's worth restating what Josh has said, which is that, you know, you can take part by typing into the chat on the webinar, but you're not seen, you aren't available to other people. You're very much a participant. I think one of the things
actually, sorry if I just, because I've got no short-term memory, you don't have to put your real name in on Zoom. And often people recommend that you don't. So you can just put, when Zoom asks you to put a name in, you can just put audience member. That's absolutely fine. We don't have to know your name, and we don't keep your data. If you go in, I think through a tablet or a phone, you may get asked to put in an email address and so on. That's just Zoom. We've told it not to do it, but sometimes it does it anyway. But we won't be keeping that data. Everything is private. I'm going to take this off the bottom of the screen in a second, but our email address is just info@together2012.org.uk. So again, if you've got a question or a point you'd like me to make tomorrow night, but actually you just feel like you can't take part in a Zoom and you may not even be able to listen, but there's something you really want to say, then email us. Just do it fairly soon, because otherwise I might lose it. Robin,
can I just finish what I was saying?
You can. You're the chair.
I'm sorry. I think it's quite important. I think because we can't see who's taking part, we don't always recognize the impact. And something that happened last Thursday on the opening event, which I thought was wonderful, incidentally, was that we had relatives and friends of the people that we were talking about, the artists that we were commemorating, and that was internationally. We had people who were participating rather from New York. And this is I think it's worth emphasizing that as a way of sharing information, as a way of sharing experiences rather, this is a really excellent and appropriate way of doing it.
Yes, I mean, we have people booked from other countries for everything already, which is nice, because certainly the film festival always attracts people that travel to the UK specifically for the film festival. I had great difficulty over the summer in explaining to a group of our Finnish filmmaking friends that there really was absolutely no chance that it was going to take place in real life, because they'd already booked their tickets, whatever I said. But we do have a fantastic digital festival coming up. So in a minute, we are going to put on it's become a regular Monday feature, which is Relax with Arwa. Arwa is an artist and writer in her own right, but she's also a yoga leader. She's a young artist and she's set up her own channel. What we do on a Monday is just take the tail end of her Saturday program, which is the relaxation. Now, Arwa will be appearing a week tomorrow with ACT UP Newham, who are presenting a wonderful new piece called I Am Tony. If you go to the I Am Tony website page, there's a film that we showed on this show last week, which is just introducing the premiere and inviting you along. But also on that page, there's profiles of the different company members that we ran last month for Black History Month, and you can find out more about Arwa and who she is and what she does on that website. Coming up on Wednesday, like I say, we'll be talking to you much more about what's on offer on Thursday. We will also have Josh's regular gaming and sports update. We've got our Clockwork Paralympics for the right of a teddy bear to wear a gold medal. We didn't actually mention our teddy bear wearing the medal in the background before, and much, much more. So we'd love you to join us again. The recording of this show with, as we say, enhanced audio goes up later tonight. Our highlights and links page with details of everything we've discussed and the videos we've played should be up about 5 o'clock. we have our event tomorrow at 7, and then we will be back at 3 o'clock on Wednesday. So it's goodbye from me, Jew Gosling.
Bye-bye.
That was Julie Newman for audio description.
And it's goodbye from me.
That's Robin, and goodbye from me.
We must get this running better in the future, mustn't we? So this is Relax with Awa.
Imagine that you're in your favorite place and you're standing by the river. Now, it's not a, it's full of yellow water. So happy water. And you are all your worries at the corona in one hand, and you're going to throw it in the sea. And as you are throwing it into the sea, you're going to watch it float right down into the sea. You are happy now. All your worry is that the coronavirus are in the sea. Now, you see an island ahead of you with tall flowers. So you go to the island. When you reach the island, you look around, but no one is on the island apart from you. And you see the most beautiful, tallest flower in the world. This flower had special powers. It can talk, it can sing, it already knows your name, it knows where you live, and it looking straight at you. Now, this flower had the lights all around it. Lights all around it. It calling your name. So you go over to that flower. It knows you very well. So you take it for a walk. You're walking along the beach, leaving footsteps in the sand. You are in a happy mood. You're not thinking about nothing. You're in a good mood. Forget about the lockdown. Forget about the shitty lockdown. Just focus on the extra flower. It will keep you safe. See, whenever you have a problem, just take some time on what you're doing and just imagine the desert flower, the tall flower look like a tree. And then you would happy. Let's take a final deep breath in and out. One more time. In and out. Thank you for doing Relax with Our and hopefully to see you next